going to take a look at the coordinate plane today. So this is, if we were in North River, something that I'd have you all put into your notebooks, but since we're not, I'll just create the notes here and then you'll be able to reference it. So the coordinate plane, typically through 5th grade, you've plotted points, you've dealt with x and y coordinates, but they've been over here in the first quadrant. By 6th grade now, we're going to introduce the fact that there are 4 quadrants. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll label them. We label them with Roman numerals. So we have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and finally quadrant 4. Okay, so labeled with Roman numerals 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now on the coordinate plane, there's a couple of things that we need to be aware of. We have 2 intersecting lines that create this plane. This horizontal line, this is our x-axis. Horizontal, it goes left and right. This vertical line, vertical, it goes up and down. This is our y-axis. Okay. At the very center, right here, is a point that is called the origin. Its coordinates are 0, 0. It's the starting point. It is our origin. Each quadrant is going to be a place for you to plot a point. You can plot coordinates. The coordinates, important to know, it's always going to go x first, y second. So your coordinates they're in parentheses. Your x value comes first. Whatever number is there is plotted along your x-axis. So it tells you to move left or right from the origin. Your y value comes second. So whatever number is there is plotted along the y-axis, and it tells you to either move up or down from the origin. All right? X is telling you to either move left or right, whereas y is telling you to either move up or down. Now the way you know if you're moving up or down, up is when you have a positive value, down is when you have a negative value. And for the x coordinate, left, if you move left from the origin, that's because you have a negative value. And if you move right, that's because you have a positive value. So depending on what numbers you have as your coordinates, that's telling you where on the coordinate plane to graph that point. So in quadrant 1, you can see it is right of the origin and it is up, it is above the x-axis. So the points that will be plotted in quadrant 1, they're going to have a positive x value and a positive y value. Both of your values will be positive. So for example, a point that you might see in quadrant 1 would be the point 5, 2. Both of these are positive numbers, so it will show up in quadrant 1. Okay, quadrant 2, slightly different. You're still going to have a coordinate, but this time your x value, do you notice how it goes left from the origin? That means you have a negative x value, but your y value is still positive because you're still moving up. You're still above the x-axis. So an example point that you might find in quadrant 2 would be negative 5, comma, 2. Now my digits are the same, but because this one's negative, I know I'm moving left from the origin, whereas this one's positive, I'm moving right. So even though they both have the same digits, the numbers themselves, whether they're positive or negative, tells me how to move. When I go on to quadrant 3, my x value is going to be negative because I'm moving left from the origin. And this time, my y value is also negative because I'm moving down from the origin. So both of my numbers here in this coordinate are going to be negative. So as an example point, I would find the point negative 5, negative 2 over here in quadrant 3. Both of my x and my y, they're both negative. Last but not least, we have quadrant 4. Now the points that you'll find in quadrant 4, they're to the right of the origin, so the x value is positive, but the y value is negative because I'm moving down. So an example point that I could find in quadrant 4, a positive x value, so a positive 5, but a negative y value, so a negative 2. Okay, so take home message. What do you need to know? You need to know this is the coordinate plane. It is divided up into 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. There is an origin, the point 0, 0, right at the center. You need to know that when you're plotting a point, the first number is the x value, and it tells you to move left or right. The second number is the y value, and it tells you to either move up or down.